The blackness of space was filled with light and fire. Explosions flashed like dying stars as the battle for Vega 9 raged across the system. The human fleet, though smaller and less advanced, fought with a courage that stunned even their enemies. Captain Elias Ward, leader of the starfighter squadron Falcon Wing, flew his ship through the chaos. His hands moved smoothly over the controls, his calm voice guiding his pilots through the madness. "Stay tight, everyone," Elias said over the comms. "We protect the colony no matter what happens. Vega 9 stands or we fall with it." His words steadied his team. Many of them were young pilots, barely out of training, yet they followed him without question. They had learned to trust Elias because he never asked others to do something he would not do himself. Outside his cockpit, the world was a storm of metal and light. The alien ships of the Galactic Dominion moved in perfect formation, sleek, silver, and deadly. Their energy weapons sliced through human vessels like paper. The humans had courage, but courage alone could not stop plasma fire. Still, Elias kept fighting. He darted through debris fields, his fighter's wings glowing as he launched missiles at the Dominion cruisers. One by one, the alien ships exploded under his relentless attacks. But every victory came with a cost. On his radar, red dots, his fellow pilots, began to vanish. "Falcon 6, respond," Elias called. Silence. "Falcon 3, where are you?" Nothing but static. He closed his eyes for half a second. Every name that disappeared was someone he had trained, someone he had promised to protect. Yet there was no time to grieve. "Command, this is Falcon Leader," he said. "Enemy ships have breached the orbital defense line. They're heading for the colony." "Copy, Falcon Leader," came the voice of Admiral Hayes. "Ground defenses are failing. We're losing power to the shield grid. You're our last line of defense." Elias looked out toward Vega 9, a blue and green world shimmering beneath the battle. It was home to more than 100,000 settlers. Families, children, farmers, scientists, all depending on him and the remaining pilots to keep them safe. He gritted his teeth. "Understood. We won't let them reach the surface." The impossible odds. Elias led his remaining fighters in a final defense run. As they approached the Dominion fleet, he saw their flagship for the first time. A massive structure shaped like a crescent moon, its hull glowing with strange energy patterns. "That's their command ship," said Lieutenant Mara, his second in command. "If we take it down, maybe the others will fall back." Elias nodded. "Then we'll give them something to remember." They flew straight toward the enemy flagship. The Dominion gunners opened fire, filling the space with plasma bolts. Ships exploded all around them, but Elias kept moving forward. He dodged and rolled through incoming fire, weaving through destruction. His shields flickered under the constant hits, alarms blaring inside his cockpit. "Captain, our fuel's almost gone," Mara shouted. "I know," Elias replied. His tone was calm, steady. "Then we make it count." He scanned the enemy ship, searching for weaknesses. His targeting system struggled to lock on. The enemy's technology was far beyond human understanding. Then, through the chaos, he noticed something. An exposed energy conduit running along the rear of the flagship. If he could hit that conduit, it might cause a chain reaction. But to reach it, he would have to fly straight into the ship's core. No escape possible. Mara saw what he was thinking. "Captain, no. There has to be another way." Elias smiled sadly. "There always is. But sometimes the hardest way is the right one." He opened a private channel to his squadron. "All units fall back to defensive range." "That's an order, sir." Mara's voice broke. "That's an order, Lieutenant," he repeated firmly. "I'm going to make sure this war doesn't reach Vega 9. Before anyone could argue, he accelerated his fighter straight toward the enemy flagship. The final flight inside the flagship. Alien officers shouted in their strange melodic language as sensors detected the lone human craft, heading directly for them. To them it looked like madness. To Elias it was duty. His fighter shook violently as he broke through the ship's outer shields. Pieces of armor melted off his wings. Flames danced across the hull, but he held the controls steady. "Computer, override safety protocols," he said. "Warning, core breach imminent," replied the machine. "I know. Just give me 10 more seconds." The energy conduit glowed brighter ahead. He aimed for it, guiding his ship like an arrow. He could feel the heat, the vibration, the end drawing near. In those last seconds, his thoughts went not to war, but to home. He remembered Earth's oceans, the sound of rain, and his family's laughter. He thought of humanity, Flawed, stubborn, yet full of wonder. "If anyone finds this recording," he said softly, activating the ship's black box, "tell them, humanity never gives up." Then he smiled and pressed the final button. The explosion was blinding. The enemy flagship erupted from within, tearing itself apart. The shockwave spread through the battlefield, disabling nearby Dominion vessels. The alien fleet began to retreat, confused and broken. The humans, though battered, had survived, but Elias's fighter was gone. Aftermath in the human command ship, Admiral Hayes watched the battle end. He stood silently as reports came in. Enemy retreat confirmed, Vega 9 saved. Casualties? He asked quietly. "Severe, sir. But the colony is safe," replied a young officer. "We lost Captain Ward." The Admiral bowed his head. Then he did what he always promised. He stood between us and the darkness. Across Vega 9, people lit candles in his name. Children learned his story. Pilots whispered his call sign, Falcon Leader. With pride, humanity had faced its greatest threat and survived. Not through superior weapons, but through one man's courage, somewhere beyond, far away. In the cold silence beyond the battlefield, a faint pulse of energy shimmered in the debris field. A small capsule drifted through space, glowing softly. Inside, the motionless form of Elias Ward lay within a crystal-like pod. Unseen by human eyes, a beam of golden light enveloped the pod, pulling it away, vanishing into the depths of hyperspace. The war was over, but Elias's journey had just begun. Darkness surrounded Captain Elias Ward. He felt nothing, no sound, no pain, no cold. Only emptiness. It was like drifting through a dream that had no end. Then, slowly, light began to seep in. It was soft at first, like sunrise after a long night. His heartbeat returned, faint but steady. He tried to open his eyes, but something heavy pressed against them. He reached out weakly, touching smooth, cold glass. It wasn't glass, not exactly. It felt like crystal. A strange blue glow pulsed around him. Elias realized he was trapped inside some kind of pod. His uniform was gone, replaced by a white fabric that felt both warm and weightless. The air around him shimmered. "Where am I?" he whispered, though no one could hear. His voice echoed softly within the crystal shell. Suddenly, the light around him grew brighter. The pod's surface cracked with a faint hiss, and the crystal slowly opened like a blooming flower. Cool air rushed in, carrying the scent of something unfamiliar. Metal and sweetness mixed together. He gasped and sat up, blinking against the light. A new world. The room around him was vast and circular. The walls were made of translucent glass that glowed from within, showing swirling patterns of light. Strange machines floated silently in the air, scanning him with soft beams. Elias looked around, confused. This was no human facility. The technology, the architecture, it all looked alien. He tried to stand, but his legs trembled. The machines emitted a low hum, and a gentle beam of light surrounded him. Within seconds, strength flowed back into his body. "What kind of place is this?" he muttered, steadying himself. A sound broke the silence, soft footsteps approaching from beyond the glowing doorway. Elias turned quickly, ready for anything. He was a soldier, after all, even if he had no weapon. From the doorway stepped a tall figure wrapped in flowing silver and white fabric. Her skin had a faint golden hue, almost like sunlight reflected on water. Her eyes glowed softly, an unusual shade of violet that shimmered as she moved. Elias froze. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her expression was calm, her voice gentle as she spoke in a melodic language he didn't understand. I can't understand you," Elias said. The woman tilted her head slightly, studying him. Then she touched a glowing pendant on her neck. The device emitted a brief light, and when she spoke again, her words came through in clear, accented English. "Do not be afraid, Captain Elias Ward. You are among friends." The Princess of Aurelian. Elias stared at her in disbelief. "You know my name?" "Yes," she said, walking closer with grace. "We found your identification within the wreckage. You were preserved within a cryopod, though its design is primitive compared to our standards." Her tone was not mocking, only curious. Elias's instincts told him to stay cautious. "Who are you? What is this place?" She smiled softly. "You are on the world of Aurelian Prime, capital of the Aurelian Empire. I am Princess Lyra, daughter of Emperor Tyrannus." Elias's heart skipped a beat. The Aurelian Empire, that was the name the Galactic Dominion had used in their transmissions during the war. These were the very people humanity had fought against. "You're Dominion," he said slowly. Lyra's expression changed, her eyes lowering slightly. "That word belongs to those who used our name for conquest. I am not my father's war council. What was done to your people was not my will." Elias took a cautious step back. "Then why am I here? If your people attacked us, why save me?" Lyra met his gaze, calm and steady. "Because you did what none of our warriors would have done. You sacrificed yourself to protect others. I watched the final moments of your battle through our long-range sensors. You flew into death to save your people." Her voice softened. Such courage should not end in silence. The gift of survival. Elias tried to make sense of her words. "You watched the battle?" "Yes," Lyra replied. "I tried to stop it, but my father's council refused to listen. They believed humans were dangerous, too wild, too independent. They feared your spirit." She walked toward a console touching the surface. A holographic image appeared above it, a replay of the battle for Vega 9. Elias saw his fighter dive into the enemy flagship once more, the explosion spreading through the Dominion fleet. Lyra looked at the image, her voice filled with quiet admiration. "You changed everything that day. The fleet withdrew because of you. The Council lost much of its power, and yet, the war has not ended." Elias crossed his arms. "So you saved me for what? To thank me? Or to use me?" Her eyes met his again, steady, calm, sincere. "Neither. I saved you because I could not let such bravery vanish from the universe. You are not my prisoner, Captain. You are my guest." The words hung in the air. A glimpse of Aurelian. Over the next few hours, Elias was given a chance to see the world around him. He walked through towering corridors of crystal and silver. Outside the large transparent windows, he saw floating cities suspended in the sky, glowing with soft golden lights. Ships shaped like wings of light glided silently through the air. Everywhere he looked, the Aurelians moved with quiet elegance. Their faces showed curiosity but no hostility. Some bowed slightly as Lyra passed by, whispering words in their language. Elias followed her closely. "Your people are incredible," he admitted quietly. Lyra smiled faintly. "We are old, Captain. Sometimes age brings wisdom. Other times it brings arrogance. My people have forgotten humility. That is why your kind frightens them. You remind us of what we once were." Elias frowned. "You mean brave?" She nodded. "And alive." For the first time since the battle, Elias felt something inside him. Hope. A secret revealed. Later, as night fell over Aurelian Prime, Lyra led Elias to a quiet balcony that overlooked the shining city below. Stars shimmered above them, brighter than he had ever seen. "You must rest," she said softly. "Your body still heals." Elias leaned on the balcony's smooth surface. "I don't even know why I'm alive. My ship exploded." Lyra hesitated, then spoke carefully. "When the explosion destroyed our fleet's flagship, your ship's emergency pod was thrown into subspace. It was caught by a passing Aurelian research vessel. You were nearly gone when they found you. My healers revived you using our stasis crystals. So, I owe my life to you," Elias said quietly. Lyra shook her head. "No, Captain. You owe it to your own strength. I only helped you finish what your heart already began." Her words were gentle, and for a moment neither spoke. The night wind moved softly around them, the unseen danger. Suddenly, a distant explosion of light appeared in the sky, tiny but sharp. Elias turned quickly. What was that? Lyra's calm expression hardened. "The War Council," she said softly. "They have discovered that I rescued you. They see your presence as a threat to their control. So they want to destroy me?" She shook her head. "Not just you. They want to silence anyone who believes peace is possible, including me." Elias stared at her. "Then you risked your life to save mine?" She smiled faintly. "Perhaps courage is not a human gift alone." He couldn't help but smile back. "Then I guess we're both in trouble." A promise in the Stars Guards rushed into the balcony, bowing before Lyra. They spoke quickly in their language. Lyra nodded, then turned to Elias. "You must rest now, Captain. Tomorrow we leave this city. It is no longer safe." Elias looked out at the stars again, then back at her. "Where will we go?" "To the outer colonies," she replied. "There are those who still believe peace between our peoples is possible. But they will need proof. You might be that proof." Elias took a deep breath. He had fought these people. Now he was walking among them. And somehow he was being asked to help them build peace. Then I'll help, he said finally. If it means saving lives, human or alien, I'll do it. Lyra's eyes softened. Then you truly are as brave as they say. Above them, the twin moons of Aurelion rose together, casting silver light over the balcony. For a brief moment, Elias forgot the war, the loss, and the pain. He simply watched the stars beside the alien princess who had saved his life, wondering what fate had planned for them next. The next morning, Elias Ward woke to a soft golden light shining through the walls of the crystal room. It was peaceful, almost unreal. For a few moments he forgot the battles, the losses, and the chaos of war. Then the memories came back like a tide. He sat up slowly, feeling stronger than before. His body had healed, but his heart was still heavy. He looked around the elegant room, the strange architecture, the gentle hum of energy in the air. It was beautiful but foreign. The door opened with a faint sound and Princess Lyra stepped inside. She wore a long silver robe with faint light patterns that moved across the fabric, like ripples of water. "You are awake," she said with a small smile. "Good. We must leave soon." Elias rubbed his eyes. "Leave already?" "Yes. The War Council has sent ships to investigate this city. They know you are alive. We cannot risk being found." Elias stood up immediately. "I'm ready. But before we go, I need answers," Lyra nodded. "And you will have them. Follow me, Captain Ward." The hidden chamber, she led him through winding hallways that glowed with soft blue light. They passed guards in white armor, who bowed deeply as Lyra walked by. The corridors grew quieter until they reached a tall door made of pure crystal. "This place," Lyra said, touching a glowing panel, "is forbidden to most. Only members of the royal line may enter." The door opened with a whisper. Inside was a vast chamber filled with floating spheres of light. In their centers, holographic images flickered. Battles, meetings, maps of distant stars. Lyra motioned to one sphere. It grew larger, showing a detailed map of the galaxy. Dozens of red lines stretched across it, connecting worlds under Dominion control. A smaller blue area, representing human colonies, glowed on one edge. "This," she said softly, "is the truth of our war." Elias frowned. "It looks like we were surrounded from the start." Lyra nodded. "The Dominion, our ruling council, planned this long before you ever reached the stars. They saw humanity's growth as dangerous. You expanded fast and your technology advanced quickly. The council believed your kind would one day rival their empire. So they struck first," Elias said bitterly. "Yes," she said quietly. "But not all of us agreed. The seeds of rebellion." Lyra walked to another sphere. It showed a meeting room filled with alien leaders. They argued, their faces sharp and angry. "My father, Emperor Tyrannus, once believed in peace, but the council feared losing control. They whispered that humanity would destroy us, that humans were violent and unpredictable." Elias crossed his arms. "They were wrong." Lyra gave a sad smile. "I know, but fear can blind even the wise. The council used false reports and staged attacks to prove their point. They showed images of destroyed alien colonies, claims that humans had done it. In truth, those attacks were their own doing." Elias's eyes widened. "They lied to start the war?" "Yes, and when the Emperor hesitated, they took command of the fleet themselves. My father was forced to watch as they unleashed war across the stars." She looked away, pain in her voice. "I tried to stop them. I warned him that this war would not bring safety, only ruin. But he was bound by tradition and the laws of the throne. So I did what I could in secret. I began saving lives." Elias watched her closely. "That's why you rescued me." She nodded. "You reminded me of what leadership should mean. You risked everything not to conquer but to protect. That is the kind of strength my people have forgotten." Escape from the capital. Before Elias could reply, a sudden alarm echoed through the chamber. The glowing lights flickered red. Lyra turned sharply toward the door. "They found us," she said. Guards rushed in, speaking quickly in their language. Lyra nodded, then turned to Elias. "We must go now." "What about your father?" he asked. "He is under the council's control. If they capture us, they will use you to prove their lies. We cannot let that happen." They ran through the halls as the alarms grew louder. The once calm city outside was now alive with flashing lights. Ships hovered in the distance, their engines roaring like thunder. Lyra led him into a large hangar where a sleek silver ship waited. It was smaller than the massive Aurelian vessels Elias had seen before, built for speed rather than war. "This is my personal vessel, Starvale," Lyra said. "She will carry us to safety." Elias hesitated. "Are you sure you want to leave your world behind?" She looked back at him, her eyes glowing softly. "Sometimes, Captain, you must leave the light to save it." They boarded the ship, and within moments it lifted off. The city fell away beneath them as they soared into the sky. Energy bolts streaked past, but Lyra's hands moved quickly over the controls. The ship spun gracefully, dodging every shot. "Hold tight," she warned. "We're breaking through the blockade." Elias watched in awe as she piloted the ship with calm precision. He realized then that the princess was not just royalty, she was a warrior in her own right. The journey to the outer colonies hours later, the ship exited hyperspace above a distant world. It was a quiet planet surrounded by rings of ice and light. "This is Aurelia Minor," Lyra explained, "one of the few places still loyal to the old ways, peace, wisdom, unity." Elias looked out at the planet. "It's beautiful." "Yes," she said softly. "And it is where the truth must be told." They landed near a temple-like structure carved into a mountain. Waiting there were several figures in long robes. One of them, an older Aurelian with glowing blue markings on his skin, bowed deeply. "Princess Lyra," he said. "We heard of your defiance. The council calls you a traitor. I am loyal to my people, not their fear," she replied. "This is Captain Elias Ward, the human who ended the Battle of Vega 9. He deserves to hear the truth, and the galaxy deserves peace." The elder studied Elias carefully. "A human who faced death to save others. Perhaps the stars still favor us." The truth recorded inside the temple, Lyra showed Elias an ancient device, a memory crystal that could store living images. "This," she said, "contains proof that the war began with lies. If we can deliver it to both the council and your human leaders, perhaps peace can still be born." Elias nodded. "Then we'll deliver it, no matter what it takes." But before they could activate the crystal, the ground trembled. "Outside, the sky flashed with energy fire. They found us again," a guard shouted. Elias ran to the viewport. Dominion ships were descending through the clouds. "How did they track us so fast?" "The council's spies are everywhere," Lyra said grimly. "We must protect the crystal. If they destroy it, the truth dies with us." She handed the crystal to Elias. "Take this. You are faster and less recognizable. Go through the lower tunnels." Elias shook his head. "I'm not leaving you behind." Her voice was calm but firm. "Captain Ward, if they capture both of us, it's over. But if you escape, there's still hope." Elias met her eyes. "Hope only matters if we both live to see it." Before Lyra could argue, he grabbed a blaster from one of the guards and stood by the entrance. "I'll hold them off." "You get to the ship." Lyra hesitated, then nodded. "You truly are human to the core," she said softly. Brave and stubborn, he smiled faintly. "You're not so different yourself, Princess." The rising bond. The attack grew louder. Flashes of light, the sound of explosions shaking the mountain. Elias fought alongside the guards, covering Lyra as she ran toward the ship. When the enemy finally retreated, smoke filled the air. The temple was damaged, but they were alive. Lyra looked at Elias with quiet relief. "You risked everything again," he shrugged. "Old habit." For the first time she laughed, a soft, musical sound that lightened the air around them. "Then I hope that habit never fades." Together they boarded the Starvale once more. As the ship lifted off, Elias looked down at the burning temple below and then at the crystal in his hands. "Now the truth travels with us," he said. Lyra nodded, and with it, the chance to end this war forever. As the ship vanished into hyperspace, the stars stretched before them like rivers of light. Neither of them knew what awaited ahead, betrayal, danger, or perhaps a fragile hope strong enough to change the galaxy. But one thing was certain. The bond between human and alien had begun to grow, forged not by power or fear, but by shared courage and the desire for peace. The Starvale glided silently through the deep blue light of hyperspace. Captain Elias Ward stood near the main window, watching the stars blur into rivers of silver. Behind him, Princess Lyra sat at the control panel, her eyes fixed on the readings. For hours, neither spoke. The silence between them was not cold. It was the quiet of two people who carried heavy thoughts. Finally, Elias broke the silence. "How far until we reach the next colony?" Lyra's voice was calm. "Not long. We are heading to Vera Outpost, an independent world on the edge of Dominion control. The people there have no loyalty to the Council. Some of them wish for peace, Elias nodded slowly, and some of them might not like the idea of a human walking among them. Lyra looked up at him with a small, confident smile. Then they will learn. Sometimes peace must begin with one brave step. Elias smiled faintly. You make it sound easy. It is not easy, she admitted. But it is right. Arrival at Vera Outpost. When they exited hyperspace, a dusty orange planet appeared below. It was covered in rocky plains and glowing rivers of molten minerals. Spaceports dotted its surface like small islands of metal. This world doesn't look peaceful, Elias said. Lyra nodded. It is not peaceful, but it is free. Many who reject the Council live here. As the Starveil descended, small ships followed them cautiously. When they landed, a group of armed figures surrounded the docking pad. Their armor was rough, patched, and painted in mismatched colors. A tall alien with dark blue skin stepped forward. His eyes glowed with suspicion. Princess Lyra, he said slowly, you should not be here. The Council has placed a bounty on your head. I know, Commander Rin, Lyra replied calmly, but I bring proof that the Council lies, and I bring a human, one who fought with honor. The crowd murmured in surprise. A few raised their weapons, but Rin lifted his hand. A human? He said in disbelief. They were our enemies. Enemies made by falsehood, Lyra said firmly. Elias Ward fought to protect life, not to take it. He stands as proof that humanity is not what the Council claims. Rin studied Elias carefully. Is this true, human? Did you come here to make peace? Elias met his gaze. I didn't survive the war to start another one. I came to stop it. There was a long pause. Then Rin lowered his weapon. Then you're welcome on Vera, for now. The gathering of the Free Lyra and Elias were led into a meeting hall deep inside the outpost. The walls were rough metal, but glowing orbs of light floated around the ceiling, giving the room a warm shine. Several leaders from different planets gathered there, traders, soldiers, and scientists. Some looked curious, others wary. Lyra stood before them and spoke clearly. Friends, the Council has lied to you all. They claim humanity seeks domination. But it was the Council that began this war. They destroyed colonies, forged evidence, and sent our fleets to slaughter innocent lives. Whispers filled the hall. Some doubted her words, others nodded slowly. Elias stepped forward and placed the memory crystal on the table. This holds the truth. It shows how your leaders started the war. If we share it across the networks, people will see what really happened. An older alien with golden markings frowned. If we help you, the Council will hunt us all. Elias answered firmly. They're already hunting us. But if we do nothing, they win forever. Sometimes doing the right thing costs more, but it saves everything that matters. Lyra looked at him proud. You see why I saved him, she told the others. Humans may be young among the stars, but they remember courage. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Commander Rin nodded. Then we fight not for one world, but for truth. The spark of rebellion. Over the next few days, Lyra and Elias worked with the outpost leaders. Together, they sent coded transmissions to sympathetic colonies, spreading word of the Council's lies. At night, Elias repaired ships and trained volunteers in defensive tactics. He was patient, teaching them how humans fought, not with fear but with trust in one another. The aliens admired his methods. They saw how he treated them as equals, how he shared knowledge without pride. Slowly they began to call him Captain of the Concord. One night, as the outpost prepared for battle, Lyra joined Elias outside the hangar. The sky above glowed orange with dust storms. You have given them hope, she said quietly. He looked at her. No, Princess. You gave them that. I just reminded them they still have something worth fighting for. She smiled faintly. Perhaps we both did. They stood there for a moment in silence, watching the stars. Neither said what they both felt, that this fragile alliance might not survive what was coming. Attack from the shadows. The attack came without warning. Alarms screamed across the outpost as Dominion warships descended through the clouds. The Council had found them again. Elias and Lyra ran to the control room. How did they find us? Elias shouted. Someone must have betrayed our signal, Rin said angrily. They're jamming our communications. The first wave of enemy fire struck the ground. Explosions shook the outpost. Elias took command instantly. Get the civilians to the lower tunnels. All fighters launch now. He sprinted toward the hangar. Lyra followed, refusing to stay behind. "You can't fight them alone," she said. He smiled grimly. "I never fight alone." Together, they boarded a defense ship. As they launched into the sky, dozens of small fighters followed. Above them, 3 massive Dominion destroyers loomed, their weapons glowing. Elias's hands moved across the controls. "We'll target their engines. If we can disable even one ship, we buy time for the others to escape." Lyra took the co-pilot's seat. "Understood." The battle for Vera, the battle lit up the night sky. Energy bolts flashed across the clouds. Elias guided their ship through the chaos, dodging enemy fire with sharp turns. Lyra used the ship's weapons with precision, striking enemy fighters one after another. Her calm focus impressed Elias. "You're a natural pilot," he said between maneuvers. She smiled faintly. "I learned from watching the best." A bright explosion shook the sky as one Dominion destroyer was hit by friendly fire from a disabled ship. The rebels cheered over the radio, but the joy was short-lived. 2 more destroyers moved in. Elias grit his teeth. "We can't win by force. We need to outthink them." He looked at Lyra. "Can you link our ship system to the memory crystal?" She nodded quickly. "Why?" "If we broadcast its data now, across their own communication channels, every soldier in their fleet will see the truth." Lyra hesitated only for a second, then connected the crystal. "Transmission ready." Elias hit the switch. "Send it." The message of truth all across the Dominion fleet, the broadcast began. Every screen, every communication channel, filled with images of the Council's lies. Proof of faked attacks, hidden orders, and voices of leaders admitting to starting the war. Soldiers froze in disbelief. Commanders shouted orders, but confusion spread faster than control. On one of the Dominion ships, crews began to rebel against their officers. Weapons stopped firing. Lyra's eyes widened as she saw the results. "It's working!" Elias smiled. "Sometimes truth is stronger than any weapon." Aftermath. The battle ended not in victory, but in silence. The Dominion ships turned and retreated. The sky cleared, leaving the outpost standing amid smoke and ruin. The rebels cheered. Many cried openly, realizing they had survived against impossible odds. Lyra turned to Elias. "You changed everything. The truth is out now. The Council can no longer hide." Elias shook his head. "We both did this. Humanity and Aurelian together." Commander Wren approached them, his voice full of respect. "You have united us, Captain Ward. From this day forward, we fight not as enemies but as allies." Elias looked at Lyra, and for the first time she smiled not as a princess, but as a friend, a new beginning that night. The outpost glowed with the light of hundreds of fires, not for destruction but for hope. People of many worlds gathered together, sharing food, stories, and laughter. Elias walked through the crowd, humbled by their gratitude. Children ran up to him, calling him Hero of Vega and asking to hear his story. He smiled but said, "The real hero is truth. Never forget that." Lyra stood beside him, her silver eyes reflecting the starlight. "You've done what no one believed possible," she said softly. "You gave them a reason to believe in peace again." Elias looked at her, his tone warm. "Then let's make sure that peace lasts." Above them, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if the galaxy itself was watching humanity and the Aurelians take their first step toward something greater. Together. The sky above Vera Outpost glowed softly in the dawn. After the chaos of battle, peace seemed almost unreal. Smoke had cleared from the skies and distant mountains shone with the first light of the twin suns. Captain Elias Ward walked among the people who had gathered to celebrate survival and unity. Children laughed, running past his feet while adults repaired buildings and ships. He had seen courage and despair in countless battles, but this was different. This was hope. Beside him, Princess Lyra moved with quiet grace. Her presence drew the respect and admiration of everyone she passed. Yet to Elias she was no longer just royalty. She had been a warrior, a leader, and now a friend. "We've done well," Elias said softly, taking in the scene. Lyra smiled faintly. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. The Council may have lost control here, but the galaxy is vast. There are still worlds under their rule." Elias nodded. "Then we keep moving. One world at a time." A mission for peace in the days that followed, Elias and Lyra worked to unite the free colonies. With the memory crystal and proof of the Council's lies, they broadcasted messages to distant worlds, calling for rebellion against the Council's manipulation. Elias trained the volunteers in defensive strategies, teaching them not only how to fight but how to protect their people without causing unnecessary harm. Lyra coordinated efforts to deliver aid to planets that had suffered under the Dominion's rule. The alliance grew, humans and Aurelians working side by side, sharing knowledge, technology, and hope. One evening, as Elias checked the star maps in the star veil, Lyra approached him. "Do you ever think about home?" she asked quietly. He leaned back in his chair looking at the distant stars. "Every day. But I've learned something. Home isn't just a planet. It's where people fight for the right things, where courage and hope exist." She nodded. "Then perhaps your home is larger than you thought." Elias smiled faintly. "And maybe yours too." The Council strikes back. Despite their growing success, the Dominion Council was far from defeated. Reports arrived of fleets gathering, planning to reclaim lost worlds. Elias stood on the bridge of the star veil, analyzing data. "They're moving faster than expected," he said. "But we have allies now, and we've given them reason to fight with honor." Lyra joined him, her eyes serious. "Then we must lead. The fleet cannot falter, and the truth must reach every corner of the galaxy." Together, they coordinated with rebel forces, human and Aurelian alike. Ships moved in coordinated patterns, striking weak points in the enemy lines while avoiding unnecessary loss of life. Elias realized something important. Victory did not require complete destruction. It required unity, courage, and careful planning. The final confrontation. The day of the decisive battle arrived above the planet Ardentis, a world known for its vast fields and clear skies. The Dominion Council had sent their largest fleet, confident in their power. Elias led a formation of human and Aurelian ships, while Lyra commanded the fleet's tactical operations. "Remember," Elias said to the pilots, "we fight to protect, not to destroy. Every life counts. Every choice matters." The battle began with blinding flashes of energy fire. Ships danced across the void, weaving through explosions. But Elias remained focused. He guided his forces carefully, hitting enemy engines and communications rather than firing blindly. Lyra coordinated attacks, her voice calm and precise over the comms. Falcon Wing hit their shields. Star cruisers flanked their left side, protect civilians and occupied worlds. The enemy faltered. Confusion spread through their fleet as rebel messages reached their ships, showing the Council's lies and secret orders. Soldiers hesitated, unsure whom to obey. Elias smiled faintly. "It's working." The power of truth, using the memory crystal, Elias and Lyra broadcasted evidence of the Council's manipulation directly into the Dominion's central communication network. Soldiers across the fleet saw the truth. The Council had lied about human aggression, orchestrated attacks on their own colonies, and forced wars for control. For the first time, the Council faced resistance not just from outside, but from within their own ranks. Many ships turned away from the fight, refusing orders. Elias and Lyra watched the chaos unfold. "The truth is stronger than fear," Lyra said softly. He nodded. "And stronger than any weapon." The battle ended not with total destruction, but with surrender. The Council's power was broken and the Dominion fleet scattered. For the first time in generations, humans and Aurelians were free to choose peace. A new alliance, following the battle, Elias and Lyra stood before the leaders of the galaxy on the plains of Ardentis. Representatives from human colonies, Aurelians, and other free worlds gathered to witness the formation of a new alliance, the Concord of Light. "This alliance," Lyra announced, "is founded not on fear but on trust, respect, and courage. Humanity has shown that bravery and compassion can change the course of the stars. Together we will rebuild, protect, and explore, side by side." Elias stepped forward, looking out at the assembly. "We have faced darkness," he said. "We have seen what fear and lies can do. But we have also seen what courage, hope, and truth can accomplish. Let this alliance be proof that even the smallest act of bravery can shine across the galaxy." The crowd erupted in cheers. Ships fired flares into the sky, and the twin suns reflected across polished surfaces of the assembled fleet. The reward of humanity, after the celebrations, Elias and Lyra returned to the Star Veil, standing together on the observation deck. Below, the galaxy seemed calm, as if it was finally breathing again. "You risked everything," Lyra said softly, turning to him. "To protect people, to fight for truth, and to unite worlds. You could have stayed a hero in stories, but you chose to live your courage every day." Elias looked at her, feeling both humble and proud. "I didn't do it for reward. I did it because it was right, but being here with you, seeing hope return, it feels like a reward I never expected." Lyra smiled, stepping closer. "Perhaps that reward is greater than any medal or title. It is life, friendship, and trust. It is proof that bravery and honor are not limited to one world, one species, or one moment in time." Elias nodded. "Then I am grateful, and I will protect it for all of us." A new chapter. Days passed, and the Concord of Light began its work. Colonies rebuilt, free worlds communicated openly, and old enemies learned to cooperate. Humanity's courage had not only survived, it had inspired an entire galaxy. Elias and Lyra worked together to teach new generations the values that had guided them. Courage, truth, compassion, and unity. One evening, as twin moons rose over the horizon of Vera Outpost, Elias and Lyra stood side by side, watching the stars. "You know," Elias said quietly, "I never imagined my life would lead here. From the Battle of Vega 9 to standing among worlds, fighting not to conquer but to protect." Lyra placed her hand lightly on his shoulder. "It is the journey that matters, Captain Ward, and it is the choices we make that shape everything." Elias smiled. "Then I choose hope, and I choose to stand by your side." Lyra returned the smile, her eyes glowing softly. "Then together we will guide the galaxy toward a future worth living for." As the stars stretched across the sky, Elias felt a sense of peace he had never known. Humanity had faced its darkest hours and survived, not through strength alone, but through courage, honor, and heart. And for Elias Ward, the reward was clear. Not glory or titles, but the bonds he had forged, the lives he had saved, and the chance to see a new era begin with hope, trust, and a beautiful companion by his side. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges, but humanity had proven one undeniable truth. Bravery and goodness could shine across any star, and one human could make all the difference. And with Princess Lyra, Elias was ready to face whatever the future held. Together. The end.